Today we're kicking things off with a bang. We're starting 2022 by venomizing the Predacons. So let's bring these illustrations to life.
Shrapnel, now filled with a new hunger and fused with a Cybertronian symbiote, began to head to a section of the spaceship where the Decepticons were. On his travels, he passed one of the Predacons. Although on the same side as the Decepticons, the Predacons and the Decepticons have never really seen eye to eye. As he walked past with contempt for the Predacon, Shrapnel muttered under his breath, "A waste of scrap metal, wouldn't be worth a meal." The Predacon Headstrong had heard this, and as his name suggests, he's headstrong, and when he puts his mind to something, very few can change it. He decided, upon hearing this comment from Shrapnel, that he would lash out and hit the Decepticon into the wall of the corridor. Thinking he had slammed Shrapnel into the wall, Headstrong failed to realise that part of Shrapnel had turned to the symbiote, which had latched onto his arm, and the nearly venomized form clung to Headstrong's fist. Using sheer force, Headstrong ripped his arm away from the symbiote, and before it could start to merge with him, he managed to shake the few bits on him off. At this point, any bot with an ounce of sense in their spark would have retreated back, or at least got some help. But Headstrong decided he could teach Shrapnel a lesson. He decided to charge at Shrapnel, thinking that his immense strength would be enough to slam the Decepticon and pretty much immobilize him. But as he charged, even with his immense strength, Shrapnel sent out a couple of tendrils from his chest, which hit Headstrong and started to slow him down, as well as started to engulf him. Headstrong, still trying to force his way forward, was soon covered by the symbiote, and without even a sound or a scream, he stopped moving. This wasn't from the symbiote stopping him or bonding with his DNA. Headstrong had used so much force that his joints had overheated and literally seized up, which basically made him an easier target for the symbiote, and before long it merged with him, adding him to the ranks of the venomized Decepticons, steadily growing in number right under Megatron's nose. A little later on route to Earth, the Decepticon spaceship had to stop off and replenish its energon supplies. Rather than stopping on an abandoned planet to gather energon, Megatron had decided to send the Predacons to destroy a remote Autobot outpost that was near them en route. The Predacons left the spaceship and headed towards the outpost. Razorclaw sent Divebomb and Headstrong ahead to recon the outpost, but not to go too far, just far enough to get an idea of the number of Autobots present. As the pair set off, Divebomb transformed into his Hawk mode and flew up high into the sky while Headstrong set off in his Rhino form. Divebomb scouted the base from up high, enjoying the fact that if he attacked right now, he could decimate the Autobots, raining destruction down on them, which is one of his favourite things to do. But despite his urges, he managed to hold back and flew down Headstrong to report his findings. As Divebomb landed, he transformed back. Without warning, Headstrong shot a tendril out as Divebomb got close to give him the information. Divebomb tried to transform and fly away, but it was too late. The tendril hit Divebomb, and as he let out a scream and shouted, "Headstrong, what are you doing? What's happened to you? Ah!" Before Divebomb could get a reply from Headstrong, the symbiote had covered his wings to take over the Predacon's body. Within moments, Divebomb emerges as the symbiote separates the tendril, joining the two Predacons. "I see, we must turn the others. With this power, we'll become stronger than anyone can imagine." The pair, now venomized, changed back into their original forms and returned to the rest of the team. Razorclaw asked Divebomb what he had discovered about the outpost. Divebomb mentioned that there were a small number of Autobots and he could easily deal with them from up high. At this, Tantrum, who only knows really frustration and anger, decided that Divebomb wasn't capable of taking on the outpost and that he should be the one to take them out. Divebomb, who loves combat, immediately decided to challenge Tantrum to a fight to show how capable he is. Headstrong thought that this would be the perfect chance for Divebomb to convert another one of the team. Razorclaw was just thinking that it'd be more trouble to try and sort them out, and they should get on with it if they're going to fight. Although he is patient, he knew that both of them were too hot-headed to back down at this point. Rampage just couldn't be bothered with the fight and wanted to take action. He had waited, and he hated to wait. He waited long enough for the recon to be completed by his two teammates. He just wanted to destroy some Autobots. Suddenly, as Tantrum thought he could get the upper hand and attacked Divebomb, the Predacon took to the skies and began to rain fire down with Tantrum standing. Now, although this seemed like a hellback version of Divebomb's normal attack, it contained a little something extra. There were small symbiote spores in the dust clouds surrounding Tantrum and the other Predacons. These spores slowly infiltrated the Cybertronian warriors, bonding with them on a smaller but unnoticeable scale. Tantrum shot a blast back at Divebomb before Razorclaw shouted, "Enough! Lord Megatron will not be happy if we do not complete this mission." Tantrum, very angry and with a lot of attitude, reluctantly agreed to stop and continue the mission. Divebomb came back down and transformed. He looked at Headstrong, he knew what had just happened, and they both gave a slight nod and continued to act normal in front of the other team members. As they were heading towards the outpost, Tantrum began to slow down and lean over, looking like he was running low on energy or his joints were seizing up, but this shouldn't have been possible this early into the mission. Rampage was not happy and told Tantrum to hurry up and stop slacking. Tantrum shouted back at Rampage, "Get lost, or I'll turn you into scrap metal." Meanwhile, while this was going on, small symbiote tendrils started to come out of Tantrum's back as the spores are taking him over. As the Predacons get within a few kilometers of the Autobot outpost, Tantrum fell to the ground and let out a scream, "Ah!" Rampage and Razorclaw look back to see Tantrum curled over and covered in symbiote tendrils. "What's going on? What's happening to Tantrum?" said Rampage. Razorclaw, true to his nature, was just waiting patiently to see what happens. Meanwhile, Headstrong and Divebomb looked pleased with the symbiote spores taking effect on Tantrum. Both knew that Rampage and Razorclaw would soon be joining them. Tantrum looked up now, fully covered in the symbiote in its new form, before launching at Rampage. As Tantrum attacked Rampage, Rampage jumped back and barely dodged the attack with his cat-like reflexes. "What's happening? What's going on? Why is he so fast?" thought Rampage. Although shocked at how much faster Tantrum had become in this new form, he was also full of excitement and overwhelmed with joy. As finally he could take action. He had waited and waited far too long on this mission. Tantrum, getting more furious and angry as he missed Rampage again and again with his attacks, suddenly grew an extra set of arms from the tendrils that came out from his back. Rampage decided to attack as he dodged for long enough, and it looked like anything longer Tantrum would get the upper hand. As he launched back with his counterattack, one of the newly formed arms grabbed him and held him up in the air. "Let me down! I'll turn you into scrap." But with that, Tantrum shot his other tendril arm into Rampage's chest, saying, "Not happening fast enough, let me help you along." Razorclaw looked shocked as he watched Rampage start to change into a form similar to that of Tantrum's. With a long tongue sticking out the tiger face on his chest, Rampage had now become venomized. Razorclaw was assessing how he can use this to his advantage, but also aware he might be next if Headstrong and Divebomb weren't attacked before him. He just stood there and watched as the two altered forms of Tantrum and Rampage looked over in his direction. Still stood motionless but ready to react against the two of them. He noticed Headstrong and Divebomb acting differently. They walked towards Rampage and Tantrum. As they walked forwards, Razorclaw was shocked. He didn't expect to see what he ended up seeing. To his surprise, they started changing into forms similar to Rampage and Tantrum. So that's how it's happened. It must have been Headstrong and Divebomb, but when? As he was thinking back, Razorclaw realised that the only moment that Tantrum could have been infected must have been the fight with Divebomb, but Divebomb didn't touch Tantrum, so how? Razorclaw put his hand to his chest as he realised it must have been when Divebomb attacked and made the dust cloud. Wait, does that mean when he said not happening fast enough, that meant the transformation? Does that mean I'm infected as well? As Razorclaw looked at the other Predacons, who were now fully venomized, he dropped to one knee and screamed out loud as tendrils and symbiote parts shot out from his body, covering him. As the other Predacons looked on and smiled at him, Razorclaw finally became one of them. Predacons still had a mission to complete though, but they wanted to complete it quickly and test their new powers in their combined form. The newly venomized Razorclaw shouted out loud, "Predacons combine!" With that, the Predacons combined to form Predaking in a new venomized form, and they set off to destroy the Autobot outpost. I'm going to leave it there, and I think this could be an epic start of something in the Multiverse Story Arc. We've now just venomized a combiner set of Transformers that are perhaps some of the most lethal ones in the Transformer universe. This is definitely tipping the favour of the battle on Megatron's side, but what will happen later on? Just have to wait and see.
There you have it. Hope you enjoyed the process of bringing these illustrations to life. I thoroughly enjoyed taking all 5 of the Predacons and their combined form, the Predaking, and adding them to the Multiverse Story Arc. I have a couple of goals I'd like to reach on the channel in 2022. I'd like to take my YouTube creator and my YouTube account to the next level, and to do that I need your help. I'd like to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're on 648 at the moment, last time I checked. I also want you guys to be more involved. So if you keep checking out the community tab or leave comments on the videos of who you'd like to see next in either the Multiverse Story Arc or any crossovers, they'll go down onto a list and I will do an illustration of that on the channel. Thank you to anybody who's already subscribed to the channel, shared the content, commented or had any input. Really appreciate it all. Wouldn't be where I am today without you guys. So here's wishing you all the best for 2022. Remember, stay safe everybody, and I'll catch you next time.